Massenomics. Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear. Do chores like the other day, and last week we had him like just do the dishes. Like they loaded the dishwasher and all that stuff, and then we had him. Like, he just had to finish the stuff that didn't fit in the dishwasher to begin. So what he did was just took the dishes out of the sink and just set them upside down on a towel as though they were clean. And that was it. He didn't fucking do anything. and so we thought it looked legit because the outsides of them, you know, we're like, oh, no, he did his chores. That's great. And then we open them. There's just all this fucking disgusting dirty dishes. And it had all seeped onto the towel.
Oh, nice.
Sounds smart.
Yeah.
That'd be like, work.
Strategy.
Yeah. So, well, fuck it. We'll start with that. Everybody, welcome to the Massenomics podcast. We're here in the dungeon, making it happen for you. I'm trying to think of when this is going to come out. This is going to be, a couple weeks after the first of the year? Does that sound about right? So everybody's...
41.
Episode 41. Mm-hmm. We're still kicking it. Basically, everybody's just rounding out of the holiday season. So I assume that you guys are all fatter than you were 3 weeks ago. If you're not, I am, for sure.
Actually, I think I lost weight.
Did you really?
Yeah, I just haven't been. I mean, you have those big, gigantic holiday meals and then, like, don't really eat besides that. So at least that's what I do.
And also, if you're not waking up early or at your normal time, you kind of sleep in a little bit. It's
true.
It's just hard. If you're being lazy, it's hard to eat as much, I think.
I don't have that problem. So I guess while we've got Professor Schanz in, that's one of the topics we wanted to cover today was kind of, I don't know about everybody, but I'm kind of on one of those accidental bulk cycles throughout the holidays. I thought I had cut some calories, but I also have been much less diligent in paying attention to them. So, but there is a lot of people, I don't know, maybe I'll just turn it over to you on that subject, but it's a pretty common thing that people will have to basically gain some fat and some general weight to add muscle mass, and then and then lose a little bit of that muscle in the process of leaning out as well. How does all that spell out traditionally, Austin?
Well, I think the best way to go about it with most people, depending on what your starting weight is or your body composition is to start off with, I think most people are. If you're just starting off weight training, you're probably not super lean. You're probably just average at that. So one of the things is that when you're leaner, you have improved insulin sensitivity and you have better nutrient partitioning, meaning that when you eat and you take in nutrients, the higher your insulin sensitivity is, the more likely those nutrients are going to go to build muscle, recover, things like that, instead of being stored as fat. So most people, it'd be prudent to start off at a leaner weight, a leaner body fat percentage, before they decide to start gaining muscle. So
you're better off, like, if you're starting from really nothing, you're better off just going for lean than just to be like, I'm going to tack on a bunch of mass to begin with. And
yeah, and again, it kind of depends. Like, it depends on your starting point. Like, if you're kind of skinny fat and you're maybe sitting around 20-25%, yeah, I mean, you don't have a lot of muscle, but I think it would be better off for you to lose body fat at that point. So when you do start gaining and you start pushing those calories, you're going to have more of it that goes into building muscle instead of storing fat. So if you start off kind of skinny fat, like I said, 20-25% body fat.
You probably don't want to just get fatter.
Right. You're going to have a higher percentage of those calories you bring in that are going to go to fat. And then, you're going to get stronger. You're going to get a little bit more muscle, but you're probably going to end up with a higher body fat percentage. And then it's going to be even harder for you to lose it at that point as you kick up your body fat percentage. So again, it really kind of depends on the starting point. If you're moderately lean, I could, see an argument for, starting off with pushing the calories and building muscle and building a strength base.
I also suppose it probably depends somewhat on your goals. Like, if you're just coming in and you're like, well, I'm kind of okay with, my overall body fat. I just want to get strong. There's probably no reason not to just go hard at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true if you're just looking to get stronger, build a strength base. But, at some point, I don't think everybody just wants to be strong and fat. So,
No.
If you get strong but you get too fat in the process, it's just not going to be.
Wait a second.
It's just not going to be an easy road when you do
What's
decide
so bad
you want to
about
cut.
that?
Tanner's going for huge too, though. Like, what did you say? What are you weighing now, Tanner?
I'm about 275 right now, which is close to the heaviest I've ever been.
But you're trying to get even huger, right?
285 by March.
Yeah.
Ish would be the goal generally. I play it by ear a little bit, like sometimes you start looking a little too fat in the mirror and you get some second thoughts, but I think I'm going to push through that this year and shoot for 285.
But yeah, I mean that's something you probably notice too. As you get heavier and heavier, and it's not necessarily just straight muscle mass. The more weight you gain, the more it seems to actually go to fat instead of muscle. Unfortunately,
For sure. And I'm, Tyler, you're talking about doing it too. There's a strongman competition that's in March, and that would be a big reason of why I'm doing that, because I just would want to be as heavy as I could be for that competition, because a lot of that static strength stuff.
Leverages alone.
Yeah,
If you're squatting or you're bench pressing, and the more mass you can put on, whether it's fat or muscle, is going to help you from that leverage standpoint.
Something you said, you were talking about, it kind of depends on your goals, what their goals are. Would you find that you get asked questions a lot that people haven't thought of that part, that they want to know like what they should do, and then kind of the first thing you have to ask them is, well,
what's your goal?
Yeah, what's your goal? And then their answer's like, well, I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
Don't you think that happens quite a bit?
Literally every single time that is my response, because it totally dictates how I'm going to answer that question. What is your primary goal? You looking to build muscle? You looking to build strength? You looking to lose fat? Because
why can't we just do all of those things at once?
That's what everybody hopes.
For
wishes,
real though, I think that's a lot of what comes down from like the people that maybe aren't that experienced. That's what I hear all the time. It's like, well, I would just kind of want to lose a little bit of fat and gain a little bit of muscle and then get stronger. And they think that those things can happen simultaneously, and it just doesn't really work that way, does it?
No, I mean, complete beginners might be able to shed some body fat and build muscle at the same time, just because there's a huge like newbie effect when you start. Your body's super responsive to that training because it's never had it before. So that's about the only scenario when it happens. And then one thing, like you were talking about build muscle, I rarely hear people use that term. It's always tone up.
God,
that annoys me. They're like, I just want to shape and tone up. And I'm like, well, you either you lose or gain body fat, or you lose or build muscle. There's really no toning. I'm sorry. Then they kind of look at me cross-eyed.
That reminds me of my next question. I kind of want to tone up a little bit. What do you think I should do?
Shake weights. Primarily shake weights.
So how effective has the shake weight been for you, Austin?
Great. My
That's your
forearms
go-to?
are gigantic now.
We were actually just talking about this today. I want to do a thing where we go through like all the most ridiculous like pieces of fitness equipment, and I want to find the most raving 5-star reviews that I can. I want to find the person who like the Thigh Master, like the Thigh Master changed their fucking life.
Yeah, have you guys? There's this one. I'm pretty sure it's not a real exercise device, but I have seen it like on Facebook, and it's like this tug rope. And like, you put it between your legs.
I got one of those.
And you're pulling on it like
That's not real, is it?
I don't think it is, but it's absolutely hilarious. I kind of wish it was a real thing. I haven't.
It's not that far off of a real. Like, there is a little doubt it could almost be a real thing.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
There was a thing I saw that like I swear, I'm pretty sure it was real, but you like put it in your mouth and you shake it, and it's supposed to like train your neck. Have you ever seen anything like that? As I was doing the research for that thing, that was something that I came across. The other thing I thought I was gonna clown on for that deal was that it's like it's just a big stick that's a little bit flexible that you can shake and shit. And it's supposed to be like, oh, it's great for your shoulders and all this stuff, and it's supposed to build strength and cardio. But it's just looks like a bow from a bow and arrow, but
Don't they call it like the body blade or
something like that?
I think
So I thought it was just one of the most ridiculous things I'd ever seen. And then as I started looking into it, it apparently is actually like comes very highly recommended for like rehabbing and prehabbing shoulder injuries and shit like that. I was like, oh,
So it kind of is a real thing.
yeah, so I can't shit all over it. But there's no way that's like gonna be your fitness routine. But anyway, back to the back to the bulking thing. So most people don't understand though that you really can't do all those things at once. So like if you're going to lose fat, you are going to have to sacrifice some sort of muscle for the most part, especially if you're going to lose fat at a expedited pace, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that if you want to lose fat primarily, like you're gonna have to reduce your calories to a point where that's probably gonna sacrifice a little bit of muscle mass, a little bit of strength, but overall, once you lose that fat and then you get back to the point where you want to gain again, it's going to be better for your gaining, like I said, because you're going to put on more muscle without as much fat going to it.
And what about the other way around? So if you are now at a point where you wanted to really commit, you're like Tanner, you just want to add more muscle, like you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit from a body composition standpoint. You're not just going to be stacking muscle on muscle, right?
Not unless you start juicing.
Can we?
By all means.
And also, if that's what someone's doing, not the juicing, but trying to just get bigger, gain weight at a certain point, just to hit that number of calories becomes hard while trying to maintain a certain level of quote unquote cleanness of your diet. Yeah. You know, that like if the number of calories is going up, how many chicken breasts can you really stuff down your throat? Yeah,
like you got to go, like I would have to go, you got to go so hard with chicken and rice and fucking broccoli.
You got to eat a lot to get a significant amount of calories. Like, what is a chicken breast? 150 calories or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
So you just need like, I don't know, 50 chicken breasts a day. And
well, that's when like though I would still eat clean when I was trying to just get calories on, is I would just drink, a fuck ton of whole milk. That would just be, I think Ryan had done the same thing. He just adds,
Yeah, he drinks a lot of
shit ton of whole milk. Yeah. And I think if you're trying to do it, that's not a bad way to,
Yeah, there's the old 20 rep squats and gallon of milk a day, tried and true. But yeah, a lot of people got pretty fat on that. I mean, milk's one of those iffy things. People sometimes tolerate it. Some people don't tolerate it at all. Just kind of depends. But most of the time, if people are looking to get lean, like milk's one of those that you just kind of want to eliminate. Yeah. Not all dairy products, but just milk, because the lactose, the sugar in it's kind of.
There's quite a bit of sugar, right? I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, that doesn't stop me from drinking a lot of it, but there just is quite a bit of sugar in it, correct?
Yeah, per cup amount, it's pretty decent. I think it's something like 7 or 8 grams per cup. So.
It's no Mountain Dew.
No Mountain Dew, but it's the different type of sugar that makes a difference.
Yeah, so my 3 gallons of whole milk a week was a little hefty.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and I talk about trying to not get too fat while you're gaining weight, and Tanner was talking about how hard it is to eat clean. Well, when I was really skinny and I was trying to gain weight, I kind of it was really hard for me. I didn't have much of an appetite, so it was really hard for me to eat clean and eat enough calories. So yeah, I kind of went the shitty route with that and would just eat whatever I could. A lot of milk, I remember eating these entire box of 99-cent noodles at the store that was just 200 grams of carbs and just awful for you pretty much. But, it worked to build muscle. I also got kind of soft because of it, but, it laid the foundation for me to eat more and actually gain some muscle. So, again, it kind of depends on the person.
I think with that, at least then you learn, the habit of eating more, because there's a lot of people that, you said you're having trouble gaining the weight. Well, you almost just have to make yourself eat like a real asshole for a while. Like I do all the time. What do we have next here, Tanner?
Oh, let's see. I was gonna fire another question at you.
While we've got the professor in the building.
As long as the professor in the house. We are also talking about the pronunciation of this word, whether it's creatine or creatine.
My money's on creatine. What are your guys' thoughts?
I don't know. I say creatine, but it probably is creatine.
I only say, and Tanner, you're in the creatine corner.
Well, I mean, I almost say it like that as a joke because it's funny to me that everyone I ever heard say it for the last 15 years said creatine, and now people are saying creatine? Like, how did it change?
My official position on it is that the E is at the end of it for a reason. So if E was not there, it'd be fucking creatine, right? For sure. There'd be no doubt about it. So why is it there, and why it doesn't make any sense? That's the real question. That's all
the
you
English
had about
language
it.
Yeah,
is
like,
a bastard.
so what how do you
That's
say it? That's what was my question. How do you say the...
I say creatine.
No, that wasn't my real question. How important do you think that is as a supplement in someone that's strength training, trying to get stronger or trying to build muscle mass? How important is it? Where would it fit in your pyramid of supplements? You know,
I don't know if I have a pyramid of supplements, but honestly, I think creatine. It's probably the most researched supplement in supplement history.
I think hands down, as far as I've seen, like, because in my understanding is it's almost hardly even studied from a performance standpoint anymore, because the truth is kind of out on it, and to where now it's being studied for things like cognitive disorders and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was
So
something I was
like
gonna touch on.
the stuff, the truth behind what creatine is pretty much a fact then, right?
Yeah.
So what are those facts?
Well, it's pretty well documented that it has some strength and performance increases. You have your ATP, PC energy systems, which is phosphocreatine, creatine, whatever. Getting a little boost for your short burst activities, 1 to 10 seconds, where you're doing, 1 rep max or real heavy, maybe a 3 rep max lifts. You get that boost from it. One of the good things from creatine from a hypertrophy standpoint is that it'll draw water into the cells. It's what's called a hygroscopic compound, and what drawing water into the cells do is it compromises the integrity of the muscle cell wall and forces it to remodel and get bigger and get stronger. So taking creatine, drinking a lot of water with that to basically get your muscles to swell more helps to initiate protein synthesis, and like I said, that rebuilding, remodeling of muscle cells. So people tend to think of it from a strength standpoint, but I almost think it's more beneficial from a hypertrophy standpoint and its ability to draw in water.
Which in the long run is will give you more to actually add strength onto.
Right.
But what about the loading? Like, that's a pretty common thing with creatine that you hear is, you first start taking creatine, you got to take a shit ton of it for 5 days. What are your thoughts on that? Tell about the way creatine works from a saturation standpoint first.
Yeah. So, there's a couple schools of thought there. If you're not taking creatine and you want to saturate yourself faster, you can't store any more creatine in your body, you could load it essentially and take a whole bunch of it within the first week or whatever and reach your saturation point, and then you kind of go with a maintenance level after that. To me, it doesn't really matter. If you want to reach saturation point faster, go ahead and load. I think you're probably wasting a little bit of creatine at that point. You'll be excreting some, but you'll reach saturation point faster. If you're going to be in the creatine supplementation for the long haul, which I think pretty much everyone could be, where you just
Do
take
you think
it
probably
indefinitely.
should be?
If you're lifting and training, like weight training, yeah, I think it's so cheap, it's so effective. And then, like you were talking about, there's other benefits to it cognitively, things like that I don't see why not. It's so cheap, and there's some people have some gastrointestinal distress with it, but for the most part, people have very few problems with it.
My philosophy was always, if you don't have diarrhea every day, you're not taking enough creatine. That was always my go-to. I always have a hard time with it because I just seem to forget. You know what I mean? And I may space it for days on end, which is but part of it, like you said, the creatine works on saturation, and this is only from what I read on the internet. I don't actually fucking know anything. But so if I'm wrong, tell me. But basically, you can't just come off the street and say, all right, I'm gonna take me some creatine before I go work out, and I'm gonna be more awesome for having done it. Like, it is something that you won't probably see the benefits until you've taken it for consistently for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like pre-workout. We're going to get it, and caffeine is fast, and everybody knows that feeling. You're not probably going to get a performance benefit from 1 or 5 doses of creatine.
No, it's a long haul supplement. It's one you're going to have to take for a while. First, obviously, you have to reach that saturation point, and then because of the effects, it's not like caffeine. It's not immediate, mental performance effects. Like you need time with it. It needs to go over however many workouts where, you're pulling that water in, you're getting a little bit of extra energy for your sets, and that adds up, long term for muscle and strength gains.
How about as far as timing, just from a daily standpoint of intake? Does it make any difference at all? Or like around your workout, not around your workout, morning, evening?
Right. So the important thing with creatine, just taking creatine by itself, there's better ways to increase the absorption and the bioavailability of the creatine. And what you want is an insulin response, which will help drive creatine into your muscle cells. And you can get that by taking it around your workout or by ingesting carbohydrates with it. What I do is I take it before my workout with carbohydrates so that, I kind of get a double whammy effect there where the workout and the carbohydrates itself should act to pull in more creatine. You could also do it after your workout with a carbohydrate supplement of some sort so you can help, that you'll have that insulin response to help drive it into your muscle cells. So really before, during, after, that kind of peri-workout window is going to be ideal. And then if you wanted to make sure you maximize creatine uptake, you probably want to have some carbohydrates with it because of that insulin response that accompanies it.
You said you take it before you work out. What is your source of carbohydrates before you work out?
I take this supplement called Plasma. So it's a casein hydrolysate, and then it's a cyclic dextrin is what the carbohydrate is. It's really just a super fast digesting carbohydrate. It has high osmolarity, which means it moves through your gastrointestinal system fast.
So you take basically a slow protein and a fast carb.
Actually, the casein hydrolysate, you think, and there's another one, casein or casein. I don't know, kind of like creatine, but
I have no opinion on that though. It's fucking creatine, guys.
Casein or micellar casein protein. We know as slow digesting proteins, but actually when it goes under the hydrolysis process, casein's actually the fastest digesting protein, a bit ironically there. So it's actually a very fast digesting protein.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yeah. So really fast digesting protein, really fast digesting carbs, ideal for your workouts because you want to get that stuff in your bloodstream where it's going to be available for your muscles to take in and use.
Right on. So if I just take I'd call it cheap, economy, large quantity tub of creatine monohydrate. Mm-hmm. Am I missing out if I'm not buying something a little flashier with a little more pizzazz?
There's a bunch of different types of creatine out there. The crealkaline is another one that I see quite a bit. I don't think there's that much of a difference before them to justify the price differences that I've seen.
Is there like a CEE or a CCE creatine or something? I don't know. Like concrete. Are you familiar?
Yeah,
like that has or HCl creatine or something like that.
Creatine hydrochloride.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. The HCl stuff. Again, there might be some small differences in it, but nothing that I've seen would justify the price increases. I mean, really, a lot of the research is done on creatine monohydrate. It's effective. It's cheap. The only thing I would say with the creatine monohydrate is if you can find a micronized version, a little bit smaller, it gets into your muscle cells a little bit easier. And
what about dosage? I think 5 grams is what I see on a lot of things. Is that an appropriate daily dose?
Yeah, if you're on maintenance, probably.
What if you're huge?
That's a legitimate point. Actually,
you know what I mean? Like,
because like, what if you weigh 1.5 normal people?
Yeah, because mine is like, because what I do when I take creatine, I'm like, well, this scoop is supposed to be for a normal person, so I just do a giant fucking sort of double scoop, and that's kind of my go-to. I don't think when you're on maintenance, I don't think it's a terribly exact science.
No,
it's not expensive enough anymore. The thing is, creatine used to be kind of expensive. It definitely was 2 or 3 times more than what it is now. When I was in high school,
you can buy
40 years
half
ago.
a year's worth for like $25.
Yep. I spent $20 and and I've had it for a really long time.
I mean, if you're larger, you have more muscle, you have more stores available for creatine. So yeah,
like GNC, like that kind of creatine store.
Yeah, right. So I mean, yeah, 10 grams, like normal's 5 grams. If you want to do 10 grams, it's probably not a bad idea.
It definitely won't break the bank. And if you start shitting like crazy, just dial it back, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
That's my go-to with all my supplements is like if I start pooping out of control, just tone it back a little bit.
Sometimes I don't know what's responsible for what though.
Yeah, I do change a lot of variables at one time. Sometimes it's like, well, I did have like a weird amount of tequila pre-workout drinks last weekend.
But so Professor Schanz, you did spend a little time working at GNC, correct? Is that where you kind of got all this? Were you reading all the back of the?
Yeah, many moons ago, I was a sales associate at GNC, and no, I didn't learn a damn thing working there.
Did you? What about some of the claims that are on the sides of the?
Oh God.
What's the GNC brand? You know, I mean, there's the GNC like red, cheap label brand, but then what's that company that Celtec or the
MuscleTech?
MuscleTech.
Mm-hmm.
That they're kind of pushed big at GNC, right?
Yeah, they were when I was there, which again was quite a while ago. Honestly, like a lot of there's so many new supplements come out, it's tough to keep up with all of them. So I don't know. But the thing is like they all use the same variation of ingredients. So if someone asks me about a new supplement, I'm like, yeah, I've never heard of it, but send me the label, and I can tell you my opinion of it then.
What year was it that you worked there? Like it was 2006 or 7 or 8, 9, I don't know. Either way, were pro hormones sold at GNC at that point in time?
No, they were pretty much
on the way out.
The market,
okay,
yep.
Because I can remember when they were. Mm-hmm. They were in like a glass case.
Yep.
I think what they would do though is they like anything that would come in, if they could put it behind the glass case, they automatically knew
charge double
they
the price.
They could charge double,
like,
and people would be like, this is the new hotness right
Yeah.
here. Like it's practically illegal.
Yeah, they still use. I mean, even when
they have it,
hormones,
they still have the glass case now.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Even after they've phased out the pro hormones, they still use the glass case to make it look.
They just
like
put something else in there that's like
overpriced.
questionably legal.
The other thing is they I also like how they name everything now. So like everything is named after something that's would probably make you fail a drug test. You know what I mean? So it's like HGH test fucking homicide, you know? Like it's just like named after shit that's going to get you in trouble.
Sounds intense.
Do you think there should be some regulation as to what is and isn't, what should and shouldn't be put on the labeling of supplements? Should be more, or how do you feel about regulation?
I think Austin's libertarian
views
on the subject of regulation.
That's why I'm curious. But this particular subject is also.
Do you feel like feel like increased regulation? Because you know how shady the supplement industry kind of is from a disclosure standpoint.
What I think the best route to go with that would be no, I would not like to see the government regulations put on the supplements, because then you would not see $20 creatine that you can buy for half a year. The prices would increase exponentially with the heavily government regulated stuff. So what I think would be best is that companies...
The companies just be a little more damn honest and just don't
yeah,
lie.
What you would ideally have seen is that you would have these companies get tested by independent labs, and they would say, there's some high-level independent labs that people trust, and they get their stamp of approval. This independent lab said this amount was in this, supplement, and it checked out, and this is exactly what's in there. So reputable company, from a reputable independent lab. So ideally, you'd have people that were critical of what they're buying to the point where, well, you know what? We're only going to buy, supplements that have been independently tested by these labs, and they got the stamp of approval. But that would require some accountability on the consumer's part.
Yeah.
So
and that process would just, even though that stamp would be there, that process would be like cause a significant increase in price as well. So like for something to have that stamp, they are having their products tested regularly, and then it's inherently more expensive, and most of the people are going to flock to what's cheap, and it may just dissolve.
I mean, that's a point. Well. There would be a price increase to have to get those, tested by a lab.
But you think if they were to make everybody like force everybody to be tested and verified. That is the regulation if it was mandated.
Yeah.
And then everything would just be more expensive.
Well, yeah, and it would be tested by government agencies and.
So it'd probably be a crap process in the end. But
Yeah. I mean, well, with supplements, you generally get what you pay for. Like, if you...
Unless you're in the CrossFit space. Because if you're in the CrossFit space, all of the supplements are just twice what they should be. It's fucking unbelievable.
Because people will buy them.
They're like, oh, well, we have disposable income. So everything that's marketed to CrossFit, the first thing that they do
double
is
the price.
double the price.
Right.
And then and sometimes they can do it well, and they can make it as clean and well as possible. There's some brands that do that, and there's some that just don't. They just make it more expensive.
We should start selling this podcast a little more specifically to CrossFit.
Yeah, it's now $200 a month if you're a member of CrossFit. Yeah, that's interesting though. So creatine in general is good. You should be taking it.
Yeah, I would say anybody that's doing any type of strength training, they could benefit from.
What about if you're not training? If you're not training, you're probably not listening to this podcast. But even if you're not training, I don't think there's any benefit to not taking it versus taking it.
I mean, one thing they've noticed is that people that get older, they have less creatine in their muscles, in their body in general, so they could probably benefit from the creatine. Talking about some of the studies that have come out that have shown like cognitive preservation reductions in like Alzheimer's, things like that, from having adequate creatine stores in the body. So yeah, there could be an argument to be made for older people or people getting up there in age to supplement with, even if they're not training.
And you said as a negative though, it may, like, this sounds like a joke, but one thing, it could possibly give you the shits or something like that. But what about other negatives? I've heard like someone's mom said that it could give you cancer, or
like
someone's mom said that it's
you'll
steroids.
Get compartment syndrome.
Yeah.
And
But like, is there other really big negative side effects to worry about? Or
I don't think so. I mean, there's always talk about people with kidney issues, like they have trouble, filtering excess metabolites from like protein, creatine being one of those. So if you do have, an inherent kidney problem, it's something to be careful with, maybe monitor, talk to your physician about. But
if you have a kidney
stop
problem,
being a pussy.
Anything orally, you're
Yes,
like,
exactly.
That's just anything that's going through your mouth.
You're exactly right.
One of my favorite things that I've seen on creatine is Dr. Andy Galpin has he teaches one of his graduate classes, and when he teaches those students, one of the first thing he does on the topic of creatine is he goes to his slideshow, and the first slide is they go to the negative effects of creatine. They list all the pros, and they go to the cons. And the cons, there's one bullet point, and there's nothing in it, and then they move on to the next subject.
Yeah.
And that's that's kind of the long and short of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not so many, there's no like biological free lunch. It's not like you're going to take one thing and it's going to make you awesome. It's kind of some subtle increases, but I don't think there's a whole lot that's proven out there to be problematic from taking it.
Right. Very, very little downside, quite a large upside, and it's cheap.
Yeah. So the official Massenomics position is
thumbs
good.
up.
Thumbs up.
Take
on
creatine.
And the official Massenomics position is it is pronounced creatine.
I've realized I've been
We're
fluctuating between creatine and creatine, and now it's bothering me.
A while back, I'm sure it bothered you guys, but I think I accidentally said creatine once after really digging my heels in on it. But it's creatine for sure. That's our official position.
We're gonna have to get a poll going on our Facebook page. Can we do that?
I think we can do that.
All right.
We should do that.
We'll probably have to hire somebody to do it for us. We don't know what we're doing. But
Did you guys want to see what's in my sack?
I always want to see what's in your sack.
We always do.
All right. Usually everyone closes their eyes. I don't know if that would be as appropriate for today. I really want you guys to see what's coming out of my sack while it comes out this time.
All right. Can we smell it first?
Eyes are peeled.
Yeah. You can. The sack or what's in it? Yeah. This I didn't have quite as much time to prepare what was in my sack today, but this is what I had in there. Not just what it is, but specifically the brand of what it is.
The Quest Bar.
Yeah. Who
does not sponsor the podcast.
And
so that means we're going to give it a negative review? Is that what we're doing?
No, we got leverage here.
Well, and I just I wanted to open it up with why the hell are these things like so popular in fitness now versus some other kinds of protein bars? Like, I
gonna
see
let
these
you
all
do
the
it
time
first.
within the last few years.
Yeah, I've seen them. I
Have you
haven't-
had one?
I have. The ones I had I did not like. They were very chalky. Very chalky texture.
Everyone I've had is like
Is it
that.
the taste that you're? You know, when I look at supplements, for the most part, the taste, like if I had to review supplements, the taste is not even on the list. Like
Yeah.
for the most part, like I would, if I
Choke-
had to
choke
weight it,
down with it.
90% of the weight would be what's in it, the benefits, all this stuff, and the
Yeah.
taste would be 10%. However, I'm gonna redirect for just a minute. There's the company that's called Paleo Ethics that is now the new supplement sponsor for the CrossFit Games instead of Progenics. I got samples of some of their products when I was in California, and it is the most fucking disgusting tasting shit I have ever had in my fucking
I didn't
life.
know if you were gonna say good
Their
or bad.
pre-workout legitimately tastes like dirt. And normally pre-workout is like a
Good.
caffeinated, sugary, fucking wonderful thing. And this stuff tastes and smells like dirt.
Right.
And,
Because the thing is, they can only use paleo ingredients, right?
Yeah, so it's got to be clean as shit, but it's fucking disgusting. And I would sacrifice a little bit of sugar or something for something that doesn't actually. Before we leave today, I will mix just some in water, and you can smell it,
Ugh.
and it'll fucking like it'll hang with you. It'll fuck up your night, for sure. But the Quest bar, so like taste, you guys aren't too thrilled with.
I'm like what you said. I really don't care about the taste of something if it's like gonna meet my
A requirement.
Yeah, then I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care. But so I don't know if I even call it a negative, but yeah, they're like a little bit harder to eat than some other protein
Yeah.
bars I've had. Just like they're super dry and chewy. Mm-hmm. But then again, I don't care. It's just fine. I would eat it.
Is a protein bar something that you have often, or like in a
No.
case like today, where like
Yeah.
you worked out, we did a bunch of shit, and then like I gotta get some food in me
Yeah, and then we were coming to podcast right after, and I was like, oh, I want something right now.
because
you know.
we're super dedicated.
But
It's right at the camera. That was good.
But so and Quest is they're really popular, don't you think?
Yeah,
Like,
I think they've taken off
They're
really quite a bit in the
Yeah.
last year or so.
is
especially.
that a CrossFit thing at all, or
I don't know. I really don't know. I
Yeah.
guess I'm not sure. What are your thoughts, Austin?
Well, I'm looking over the ingredients here. It's got milk protein and whey protein isolate, so not terrible protein in there.
does it have any sugar?
Less than 1 gram, so really no added sugar. A lot of it's this corn fiber, which probably why it tastes so bad, because that's the texture, the consistency, that chalkiness that we're getting. And then it's got the sugar alcohols in there. Only 2 grams. Some you'll see are like, there'll be like a 30-gram carbohydrate protein bar, and then they have 20 grams of the sugar alcohols. And the sugar alcohols have like less than like a regular gram of sugar, like they're 4 grams per calorie, or 4 calories per gram. But with the sugar alcohols, they get processed a little differently. They get metabolized primarily in your large colon by gut bacteria. And
The large colon is the official colon of Massenomics, as opposed to the small
We
colon.
don't like the small colon.
So, but anyways, the issue with that is when that gut bacteria is metabolizing it, that's what gives you gas. So if you find yourself eating a protein bar that gives you a lot of gas, check to see how much sugar alcohol is in it, because that gets primarily, like I said, metabolized in the large colon, and the result of that metabolization is gas, flatulence,
Which is awesome.
which is awesome.
So, the Quest bar doesn't quite pass the taste test, but it's probably legit from like a nutritional standpoint.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're thinking?
yeah.
And price wise is the other thing. From what I've seen, all this stuff's fairly expensive. I don't know, it's like $3, which seems like quite a bit for
That's
a
an
protein
awful
bar,
lot.
but
Yeah.
that's just seems to be like what those cost. I
You
don't
could
know,
have- you could-
$3.
Oh yeah,
You could eat.
you're
like,
not gonna find them cheaper, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. I just don't have any. What? Okay,
it's
is
just
a,
cheaper to buy real food. And
well, yeah,
eat
a
real
protein
food.
bar is
Yeah.
not like on my radar of something that I eat
Yeah.
very regularly.
Exactly.
If I was like, I need some protein quick, I'd rather just like grab. You could
Something
get like
that's
you could
meat.
get like a half a pound of sandwich meat.
Yeah,
you know, you get
that's-
like a half pound of
right.
sliced turkey for that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And just eat it, which I probably would enjoy better than a chocolate chalk bar. You know. I think.
Yep.
So we don't have an official position on the Quest bar, mainly because they haven't decided to pay us money or send us samples.
Yeah,
so.
and as always, we would certainly change our tune if they wanted to give us free stuff or money. Then they would probably be pretty up there on
Wow.
the list.
Yeah. Best protein bar ever.
That's why we're brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Okay, that was it.
You could tell everyone about what Tyler, you and I were putting together right before we podcasted.
Yes, so we finally got, and I don't know, it's probably more work for us to, just check our Instagram, we'll have pictures of it, but we did finally get our Strong Fit sandbags all put together, and by put together, we mean we put 600 pounds of fucking sand in them. Sand that was directly from where, Austin?
Tyler's vagina.
Boom. Good joke. Got jokes. So we did have to go to the hardware store because here in South Dakota we have no source of actual sand. So there's no way to get sand without, especially this time of year. So we went and bought all of the sand at the store and piled them up. But they look fucking sweet. I'm a little bit concerned about the heaviest one we got because... that's a 280. It's basic. We filled it to 280. It's a 280 to 300 pound bag, but it is fucking gangster heavy.
It's super heavy.
Like it looks like a full heavy bag, like punching bag size, except it's just full of solid sand. So it's just horrifyingly heavy. And you pick it up and it kind of has a little bit of fold in it.
Yeah.
You know, just enough to
Well,
where
it's
you're
like picking up a limp 280 pound body. You know, it's
yeah,
like
that's
you know
just
how
like,
hard that is.
but it's
like,
also super dense.
Yeah.
You know. But man, they look great, and we got them in the gray color with the red logo print on them. They do custom printing on them now. So if you want to get it done, you can go and you can get pretty much anything that's not like a picture. You know, I think any vectorized art you can have put on there. And yeah, that gray. Now all of a sudden we're like, after we see them, we're like, now we need to start having
more
merchandise in this gray with the red print on them because it looks really sharp.
Nice.
So. We got, what did we get? 120 pounder, which I thought was not going to be that crazy heavy.
Turned out it was still 120 pounds.
Still
which is
120
like,
pounds. And, I had a 180 before that. So we got a 120, a 220, we have the 180, and then a 280, which is more than enough for us now. We definitely don't need anything heavier.
We still haven't really done any. We haven't really tried them out. We pretty much
We filled them and we're wore out.
Yeah, and set them in place. And
part of the thing too is like we were talking about this. If you wanted them, like you kind of got to really want them. Like you're not gonna just buy this on a whim because they'll show up in their empty bags, and now you got to go get hundreds of pounds of sand, and you got to fill them up, and you got to weigh them. And not that it's inconvenient, but like
it's just you have to want.
It's just the part of the process. They're not
Yeah.
going to ship them full for you.
Right.
They will.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will if you want to pay $700 in shipping. But yeah, they're pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to using them. But after we were done, we thought about just taking, we'll take the bags to them. We'll fill them up. We can fill them up at my house. We can do whatever. And it was like, no fucking way. We'll haul 50-pound bags one at a time down the basement.
Yeah.
Before I'm going to haul that 300-pound thing into the gym. That's for sure.
Right.
But yeah, that'll be.
What the hell are you going to do with the 280-pound bag?
I would say just try to load it.
Yeah,
Pick it up
that's definitely not something that I'm going to try to do a carry on.
What about a squat? You know, you could.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The 180 guy can squat pretty easily, but I don't like to squat him for like max effort.
No.
So I usually like to get that 6 to 10 range, and it really burns your glutes and everything, like hamstrings. You feel it lower back. It's
the
280 it's exceptional for that.
Yeah.
The 280, I think if I did it, it would just fuck me up.
Yeah.
You know.
I think could still be used as a load, just like what we do Atlas stones with. You know, a pickup and maybe a short move to a platform and
I think getting used to pulling off the floor like that, lapping and then loading in general.
Yeah.
It's way more valuable of a training tool than just having a 280-pound stone. Because you have a 280-pound stone, you're either gonna load it or you're not gonna load it, and it's gonna hurt and it's gonna tear you up, and then you're gonna not do it again for 6 weeks. At least this, it's not chewing you up. It just chews
stones
up.
are pretty unforgiving.
Yeah, the bag just chews up your soul, you know. But the 120 is nice because we had, I think my wife and a couple other gals from the CrossFit gym were over practicing some Atlas stones, and we have, what are our weights for that? We have a I don't even remember. We have
70,
70, a
120,
20,
and then a
180. We have a 160 or just a 180?
180.
And the 120 stone was just a little bit too much for, a couple of them to lift. So getting to the
a 120 bag would be
the 120
easier
bag
step
would
than
be
a
easier
120
because you can
stone.
actually engage it. With a stone, if you're at your max strength for a stone and you go to pull it, it just isn't. You can't put power to it with your hands because it just pulls you off of it. But the bag you can at least get a hold of, so they can train that movement, and you can do multiple reps of it until you can get to that stone. So I think that's a good weight for them. Plus for us, it's great to work overhead and to do lighter carries. That was one thing Julian recommended was like, at the end of a training session, just grab the 120 pound bag and just carry it, almost Zercher style, or just hug it and just carry it for 400 meters. And it'll light your glutes, lower back, hamstrings up, and kind of balances you out because you're not doing it just in a static or a fixed movement like a squat or a deadlift or anything. You're actually carrying it around, and it kind of irons out some of those kinks.
Yep.
But so that's pretty much gonna be our whole thing for a little bit, trying to figure out how to move that 280.
Yeah, that's what you asked. That's kind of we're gonna figure that out as we go. Like,
there you go.
What it is
Kinda like
exactly.
this, I probably literally couldn't do anything with it. So
I did just, we had to mess around with it, and I did just like clear it from the floor, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's heavy, It's like, yeah, it's official.
Yeah, we had plus part of it was we had them and we didn't use them today. We just got them filled up, but we kind of just thought, well, I was tired. Like, they look so good, but I didn't want to just sick and tired of looking at them empty.
Yeah.
So like, well, we gotta get these filled up, and so we basically spend all that effort just to take pictures of them today.
Yep.
But they're worth it. They look
But
sharp. Next time, we're gonna do some serious stuff out of them. But those you can get on StrongFit.com. That's pretty much just the spot for them. I don't know if there's any other. I think there's like one other manufacturer of like that type of bag, but I've never seen them or used them. And the StrongFit bags, I've owned them before and I've used them, and they hold up. That 180 pound bag,
durable.
I've got it over my head. I fucking chuck it on the ground. I don't worry about anything.
So that's like falling from 12 feet high.
Basically,
That can take it.
That's assuming I'm not throwing it. But
no, they can definitely take a beating. Like more. It doesn't even actually make sense that they.
It makes me nervous because
Yeah.
if I lost 200 pounds of sand on the gym floor, fuck,
It'd be super annoying.
I'd just leave.
Yeah, like it's there when I got here.
But yeah, so strongfit.com, you can find the bags. Check them out. We dig them. But yeah, the printing thing's pretty slick. That was the first. They just started doing that now, and I dig it. It'd be a totally different animal. They'd be just as useful if they were blank, but I think they legitimately will make you stronger because it has our logo. And if you'd like to get our logo printed on them, I suppose they could do that for you too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You can inquire if you email richard@strongfit.com as well. But what else we got, Tanner? You come prepared?
Another thing I wanted to mention is that as long as we make sure we have all our ducks in a row by the time you're listening to this, tomorrow, which would be tomorrow to you if you're listening to this on the day this comes out, we should have our Pioneer Belts interview article out with Matt, the owner of Pioneer.
That's Tanner's way of forcing us to have a deadline now. Because, all right, yeah, we got some shit to do.
But it's going to be a pretty comprehensive piece about his background and how he built up, his
Really, how his family
how his
had built it
his
up and how he's
grandfather, his
maintaining,
father.
how it's been handed down. And
Yeah, and I don't know. I might be biased because I was talking to him, but I just think he was really cool to listen to, and I think it'll be pretty cool to read about what they've done and what he sees for the future of Pioneer. And
in hindsight, it was so good of a conversation because we recorded it so we could dictate it, or transcribe it.
Yeah.
But it was so good to where it's like, I wish we could have just used that, recorded that conversation as a podcast episode. But it was just like a few components of it where it just didn't fit.
Right.
It was more of a loose conversation.
Yeah, it was just kind of chat.
Yeah. So we couldn't quite pull it a podcast. That was never the intention, anyways.
Right.
But I would say we'll definitely have the most comprehensive profile of Pioneer belts out. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Matt, it also couldn't be a podcast because Matt gave us his
all sorts of off the record
opinion on stuff that is, unfortunately for you guys, you won't get to know about it because I don't want to piss him off and then have us publish everything he told us not to, which would be the most interesting stuff. But
if we only quoted him on the off the record stuff, it would be
amazing.
The best.
Yeah,
we would get so many views and listens. It would be wonderful. But Matt was too good to deal with for us to burn him. But hopefully all those things will come out in the wash eventually, anyways. So
a cool thing too. He talks about a lot of their sponsored athletes. There's a lot of big time powerlifters in there. Like Pete Rubish and Huck Finn, Andrei Milanichev. And the Lillibridges, he works with the Lillibridges on their knee wraps that they make. And he talks about that process and working with Ernie Sr. But it was just, I don't know, after working with him on it just makes me want to buy Pioneer things. I just kind of believe in their company a little bit. And another cool thing, he's big time made in USA kind of guy. All the materials that they source, I don't know if he would say 100% USA, but just about everything that they physically can, he wants to come from USA, and he markets it that way too. But I just thought that was pretty cool.
Trump's gotta love those belts then.
Yeah. He did. What was it? He had a controversy. He posts quite a bit on Instagram of it because what they do is a ton of custom belts. Basically anything you want on a belt, he'll put it on there, pictures and words and everything else. And it was some play on the Grab America.
Oh yeah.
And it was something about that, and he caught a ton of heat. I know that post kind of blew up, and people were like flipping out about it, and that was like 2 days after we interviewed him, and I was like, damn it, I
missed it.
Yeah, would have liked to ask him his opinion on that.
Do you remember, like, did they
He
pull it
deleted
down?
the post.
Damn it.
I know, yeah, because it was like, and then he had to kind of apologize. I wouldn't say he apologized because I don't think he felt like he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
He says, it's not my belt. I make what the customer.
Oh, he just put somebody else's belt.
Yeah, it's not his.
God, people are so sensitive.
And it wasn't anything
It's not like it was
terrible.
his opinion. It
No,
was
no,
just made a
and that's
belt
what he
for
said.
someone.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. But they were. So there's some people going off that they're never gonna buy any. They were fans of Pioneer, and they're never gonna purchase another thing from him again.
Well, that's their problem.
Yeah.
They're missing out.
Yeah.
You also ordered a custom lever.
Yeah, a custom lever for my lever belt. It's got the Massenomics logo engraved on there. It looks awesome. It's powder coated red.
We're getting to the point where like everything that we have now is massive. We're talking. We're like, well, we got to get like some smaller spray paint templates so we can, because we have the big ones for platforms and stuff, and it's like, so we can just fucking tag everything
with the logo.
Who's gonna be the first one to get a Massenomics tattoo?
I don't know.
That'd be a big step. Tyler's kind of the one with all the tats.
I don't really care. I would get I would probably, just because I don't really care too much about what goes on me. You know what I mean? But then if you guys buy me out or kick me out, we'd have a fucking real problem.
Hey, how about so that was about it on the Pioneer article. We'll just check that out if you can. You'll probably have seen it. Well, if you're listening to this, you'll see it tomorrow. But
unless we totally drop the ball and don't get it done by then.
I think it
is currently like 35 pages.
Yeah,
that has to get condensed down.
Yeah,
because it basically is right now I would say if you were a college student, this could be your senior thesis. And
it took a long time for me to get it to what it is now, with knowing that quite a bit would have to be cut out, but I just couldn't. It's too hard for me to decide what to cut, because I liked almost all of it, so I didn't want to just start cutting things out, but we'll get it there to a manageable, readable level by that time.
And if most of our readers don't actually know how to read. So what we usually do is we just condense it all down to memes and fucking like cartoon gestures. So we'll get that out to you guys here shortly. Yeah, it's mostly eggplants and peaches. And that's it.
How about the soap? Did you use
Yeah,
your Power
so-
Clean soap?
I
Power Clean
really
bar
dig
soap.
the what's mine, the lemongrass tea.
Lemongrass tea. What did you think of the lemongrass tea?
I dig the scent. I think you got a deal where I didn't read it yet, but apparently there's instructions on how to use it. I don't think I was using it. We've talked before about my slightly subpar hygiene.
What's the quote?
I'm cheaper than I am clean. And I apparently really was burning through this soap. It's been just a few days and it's like halfway gone. But I think there's like a way, because it is all like natural stuff that you're not supposed to just fucking lather it up like crazy, you know.
And even like the storing of it, they had some I'd have to go back and look.
So basically, I did soap wrong.
What about aside from
I dig
you going
it.
through it quite a bit? Or,
Yeah, I dig it. I like
and had
it.
you been using a bar before? Or?
I have used bar, but I bet I use a bar only randomly, like maybe a month or two out of the year. Cause like I have some barred soap, so when I'm out of soap, I'll open a bar and I will use that until I remember to buy new soap.
Yeah.
And that's usually like the extent of my bar usage.
Yeah.
But
What about the scent?
it's good.
Yeah,
I want the mint.
it's good.
Dude, I love me some mint soap. You ever
It's
used like a
good.
mint soap?
I don't think so.
Oh, that tingly thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime if I stay at a nice hotel, I know it's an actually nice hotel because one, you have
It's
to for
good.
some reason pay for the Wi-Fi still. The more you spend on a hotel room, the more likely you are to have to pay for the Wi-Fi. And two, you'll get mint soap.
And you probably haven't
Baller
used
soap.
yet, I would guess, Professor
I have
Schanz.
not.
He hasn't
use mine.
showered in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you also cheaper than you are clean, or
I don't think so.
so you're cleaner than you are cheap?
Yeah, probably. I'm just not really that smelly of a guy like Tyler, so
Not that smelly. I
I don't have to overdo
Well,
it.
you're not
I'm-
smelly anymore now
I'm
that you've been
just-
using your Power Clean soap.
I'm just below what smelling good is. Like there's smelling good, there's acceptable, and I'm just at the lower edge of that acceptable.
Yeah, you're not
range.
down to smelling bad.
No.
You're just not.
I'm just not winning any awards.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tanner, we're about to wrap up here. So what else do you got for today? Anything for Professor Schanz? Because he's going to be, it's probably the last time we have him on for a
Ever.
little while.
Yeah,
I'd say
ever.
I'd say a couple months.
Yeah, most
The
likely.
Arnold will probably hopefully
Yeah.
get 3 or 4 episodes in.
Nothing else important. I was going to mention that Professor Schanz and I engaged last night in about a 10-hour long poker game that
And
went
who
till
won?
4 in the morning.
Did
Do
you
you want to
either
tell
of
him
you
who
win?
came out on top?
Out of everyone, I think Professor Schanz won more money than anyone else.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Yeah, and actually, you might have been about the only person that really won any money. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
it still doesn't make sense.
Played for 10 hours,
Yeah.
and it was basically just a redistribution of
Yeah.
everybody's money until everybody ended up with pretty much what they bought in with, except me.
Yeah, one guy that lost most of
Yep.
all of his money, and
Went to
you
me.
won his. And otherwise, we played poker for. I played about 9 hours straight of poker to lose $30 or $40.
Jesus. I think if I had to play 9 hours of poker, like it would be unacceptable for me to lose at all. Like for my time, I'd be just so upset.
It was
But-
pretty fun. Like, I thought we were playing for like 3 or 4 hours, and then
Yeah.
it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, what?
That's I remember when I looked and it was 3. I was like, no, that can't be. I don't stay up past 11.
I've had a couple of those, not playing poker, but a couple of those nights where you're out, you're drinking a little bit, and because I normally am in bed, like if I close down the bar, if it's 1:45 and I'm leaving, it's a rarity,
Yeah.
and it wrecks me for like a week. But there's been a couple times where go somewhere, do something, next thing you know, it's like 3, or I'll look at the clock and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I get this like. It's like I go through all the stages of grief. It's like I go through. I'm like,
It's like, oh.
it can't be, and then I'm mad. I'm
Tomorrow's
like,
gonna be
"Why didn't-
ruined."
Why didn't
Yeah.
fucking anybody tell me?
Yeah.
You know.
You,
I start bargaining. I'm like, if I just go home and I get a little bit of sleep, everything's gonna be okay, and I can take a nap tomorrow.
it's
And
like, no, I'll have to sleep until noon to
Yeah.
get a decent amount of sleep, and then
start, like,
my
try-
next day is ruined
I start trying to predict, like, can I take Monday off for this?
on a Friday night. Well, Austin, weren't you saying it feels almost like even without being drunk, it feels like you're
Yeah.
on a hangover just from being that far off your sleep
Yeah, I
schedule?
woke up and I'm just like, oh my god! Like I had like 2 beers throughout the entire 8 or 9 hours, but yeah, just from such a messed up sleep cycle like that, I felt hungover.
Tyler, can you believe this guy tried to offer me, well, I think a Miller High Life? I had to tell him,
No thanks.
no thanks.
He's a Coors
I'm a
man.
Coors man. I didn't know
Is it a
about
Coors man or Coors guy?
it. Man.
Okay.
Man, I'm a Coors man.
All right.
So,
Gotta remember that.
Coors man.
I'm not your guy, buddy.
Not your
not
friend,
buddy
guy.
So, well, I think that's going to do it for us today, unless Tanner wants to interrupt me before we wrap up.
No, I'll wait till the very, very
Okay.
end.
All right. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget, go to, where are we at now? Massenomics.com. Make sure you scroll to the bottom of the page. You can sign up for our email newsletter. There you're also going to find our store. You can buy yourself hats, shirts.
We should have a pre-order for
Fucking
a shirt
Tanner.
out by this time.
Yeah.
No, just a caveat on what you're saying. There should be a pre-order for a shirt specifically.
Yes, there should. And
Yeah.
we're not going to disclose it just yet.
Yep.
But go there and check it out. You'll also
a new shirt.
A new shirt. It's the new
new.
hotness.
It's
You'll
that
also
new,
be
new.
able to find updates on that new shirt if you make sure you like the Massenomics page on Facebook. Go to youtube.com/Massenomics. Make sure you subscribe. We're dropping this podcast in both video and audio format now. We got
Multicam
multiple
video.
camera. We're figuring all that out now.
This will even be partially 3 camera angle video.
Yeah, we're really coming up.
Yeah.
And so make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I'm Tyler. You can find me on Instagram at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFFIN Stone. I'm going to save Austin the embarrassment. He does not have social media, and every time we bring it up to him, it's fucking super uncomfortable on the podcast. And it just is weird, and everybody asks why he doesn't have any. And we're just going to move on to Tanner.
It's because my girlfriend doesn't let me have any.
You can check me out on Instagram at Massenomics.
Anywhere else?
That is it. My cell phone
That's
number.
not much better than me. So.
My cell phone number is.
He only manages the official account, and that's it.
That's about it.
All right,
Just check
and
that out.
we'll release Austin's social security number then at some point in the future for you guys if you want to know more about him.
Fair enough.
That'll do it for us today. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And
Bye.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears, you're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.